Everybody ready? Sort of.
Ready.
Calling the meeting back to order. We're going to start with the budget amendment. And the budget amendment is, public hearing is now called to order. Mr. Hobbs, you want to talk about the budget amendment part?
Sure. This is the first. We have these two big contracts, one for the radio system project and one for the Madison primary school system project. The idea is that the electors don't like the idea that the board approve contracts in this fiscal year. Even though money, the bulk of the money will be spent next fiscal year, without the budget amendment to how that takes place. We have different documents set up in the package to approve, but the upshot of it is this is a technical thing where there needs to be an adjustment to the budget in some form to recognize that, so that we see whether that's an approved contract.
And everybody has thrown to me the number we've advertised isn't exactly right. It's 10,478,490. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, what I did was I took the value of
Two contracts and put them together, but we've already approved the $1.2 million, whatever. Is that right, MJ?
Yes, and most of the 1.2 million that you've already approved came from the original budget. So it is not a budget, it was in the adopted budget, which you adopted last week.
Okay.
So you can't, it's very important that you don't call something a budget amendment that you've already appropriated. There's an additional $60,000 that is a supplemental that you appropriated in December. But if you approve a budget amendment in April, right, you've already paid 1.2, it's already appropriated. I will have to add that 1.2 million back.
So if we do the budget amendment at 10,478,490, then it is an actual amendment to the budget that takes out the 1.2 that we already appropriated. And that would be the correct terminology for the auditors, essentially.
Yes.
Everybody understand this?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
except
Yes.
there are a couple of other contracts we need to get into, which will now in the fiscal year, that will be probably over $130,000. So my thought was to include the value of those contracts such that we would have some play for these extra money.
All right. All right.
But the $1.2 million has already been spent, is that right? Appropriated and spent.
There's not additional.
Speak loud, MJ.
Is there additional $1 million related to the radio project that's anticipated to be spent before the end of the year?
What I said was there are at least two contracts at a value of $65,000 each that we need to execute before the fiscal year. So we didn't need some of them.
If we take your 10,478,490 and add 130 to it, then that should be able to, that would be the number that we could supplementally approve, or that we could amend the budget out.
So you don't, for $132,000, you don't need to do anything with that right now. You can just do it in a regular board meeting, it doesn't need to be advertised.
So we want to do both.
She wants to take the.
Are we good on this?
That's fine.
So let's stick, just to give clarity, we're at 10,478,490. And that is the two projects. The one will be $6,751,000. The other one will be $3,727,490. With the total set again at $10,478,490.
So it's a school and the radio.
Yes, sir. Any questions or comments about this? And yes, we are proceeding We are proceeding to, with the school project, potentially. Don't see any reservations. And then on the radio project that we've been working on for, yeah. So that's where we're at.
Just one comment. I did speak in a telephone call last week with our auditor. They believe this is the most appropriate way to proceed.
Very good. Thank you. To the public. To the public. There's no public here, really. We have Gracie. We're glad to have Anna and Tina, Tom, Greg, MJ, and Livingston. As everybody can see, Livingston on the good meeting thing. There you go, Livingston. Public comment. We'll take it on the phone. We'll take it on the Vimeo. And good to see you, Gary Mitch, or the go-to meetings. Just put your comments in writing. Public hearing is over.
Can they hear you?
Can everybody hear me? Just say yes or something on all three of these fine meetings. 4 meetings. Yeah. Hot dog, there you go. That's what I mean. Thank you. Loud and clear. Everybody got it. Go to meetings working well. I don't know what the heck this other one's doing. You got the Vimeo thing up? You got any comments on that, Kevin?
It's delayed.
We're gonna wait 30 seconds for the Vimeo thing to catch up. Thank you all for replying. All right. There's Brian's on Vimeo. All right. Public hearing on this portion is closed. We have comments from the board. We've been working on these projects. We know the school projects needed is what it is. The radio is the same deal. Let's move to the next one. Tax rates for calendar year 20. We've advertised them, Mr. Hobbs.
Yes, sir. This is the usual customary hearing on the county tax rates. I believe the county does this every year for each calendar years the way this works. New this year is an increase in the real estate tax rate from 70 cents to 72 cents per $100 market value. So, will you answer questions on that?
All right. Mr. Hobbs has said that the tax rate is proposed to go from 70 to 72 or cents per 100 assessed value. No other changes but that. Comments from the board?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
It's especially now. I mean, I've been talking to people since we decided to advertise this rate. I'm very much concerned that any kind of increase, not only will they be able to not afford it, but they won't be able to pay what they got now. I did see in Tracy's, I was trying to figure out how many people in Madison County are not working, not getting paid. Well, there was, according to Tracy Gardner's report that I saw this afternoon, there have been 200 applications for unemployment in Madison. So I know that there's at least 200 people not getting paid. But anyhow, I've talked to a lot of people in the last 2 weeks, and they all understand that things go up. You need to increase taxes over time. Things go up, they go, but not now. Please, not now. It's like, okay, that's why I've been, talking about trying to find $340,000, which is what 2 cents is. And I still want to find $340,000. I think we can. I don't know when it's appropriate to go through my list, but I mean I've got things on the block like admin, building consolidation, the 1% COLA. I say that's that's got to go. I would like to very much to appeal to the county employees that we've got that have, as I understand, that none have been furloughed. They're all getting paid. They are all working, I think, either as much as they can from home, whatnot. But I don't think there's any county employee that's going unpaid right now. So my appeal to the county employees with relative to the new pay rates that we have fully intended to put in place on July 1st, I would like to have a discussion about either delaying that implementation until January 1st. Now, I know we had a target date of this past January, but times have changed real quick in the last month and a half. Either delay putting those new rates in place this coming January 1st, or we do half July 1st of this year and half July 1st of next year. So that's one thing I'd like to discuss. I'd like to hear some feedback from the county employees, whether they understand their position and whether they are willing to join everybody else during this pandemic we've got going. I want to know more. I asked Barry the question, and I don't know about teacher raises, what the Governor Northam's going to do on that. Understanding now that maybe the feds are going to help out on that. I mean, I hope that the teachers' raises don't get cut, but that is, it sounds like it's on the governor's radar right now. I would like to look at reducing all the outside agencies back to FY20 levels. And go through those, see what's in there. MJ has already offered a reduction in the IT department, and I appreciate that. That's real money. That'll get us quite a bit down the road. I don't know what our health insurance increase we had built in, so I'd like to get some numbers on that. And I would like to send out an appeal to all department heads to take a really close look at their budgets and see where they can cut. I've seen some line items, and I went through most of them today, where they come in and there's supplies, a supply, and there's a $36,000 increase in supplies, like 136%. I'd like to know. I've never seen a supply. I've seen other line items go up because of one reason or another, but not a supply. So anyhow, appeal to the department heads, please comb through your budgets and help the Madison County citizens any way you can. But I'm looking for $340,000 because I do not want to raise the tax rate.
I have a question. With the list you have, money-wise, how much have you came up with in savings?
Well, some of them I don't know, like
Just
the,
like guess.
yeah, I can't really tell. I'd have to get with MJ. Like,
What's the 1%
Do you?
COLA?
The 1% COLA is taken out from the budget workshop. There is no 1% COLA in these numbers.
oh, is that right?
Total new money on the pay increases.
So I have a breakdown that I thought you might all be interested in. Total compensation, which includes wages and fringes, went up $456,000. It's basically half of the total increase in spending. But of that $456,000, only $257,000 of it is related to the compensation.
257.
So a half year, if you wanted to do a half year would be approximately like implemented in January. So you get a 50% hit this year. That would save you approximately $120,000. But it's interesting to point out, so just because we went through so many things quickly in the meetings where we talked about compensation. The VRS rate went from 8.54 to.
Say loud, MJ.
The VRS rate went from 8.54% to 10.59. That's only 2 percentage points, but rate-wise, that's a 24% increase. So exclusive of any compensation changes at all, our VRS obligation went up $100,000. Our health insurance, which remained flat from last year, we changed nothing. But last year had 2 months of the prior year plan and 10 months of this plan. Since the rates stayed flat between 2020 and 2021, the rate is the same for all 12 months this year. We picked that cost, just those 2 months is costing the county an additional $30,000. So the other things that happened is we added $37,000. That's the total cost of the new animal shelter manager. We added almost $13,000 in additional hours for Don Shear's job. We added $35,000 because Bruce was only here for half a year, so the effective, that's new for Bruce. The effective him full year is plus 35. So I don't know, I'll take out, that'll give you a feel for what happened with the numbers, but compensation with fringes, with wages and fringes, makes up approximately half of the total increase in the budget, operating budget for FY20. So logically speaking, that would be where, if you want to look at numbers, that's the biggest place to look. But keep in mind that 200 of that is stuff that it's unrelated to compensation. In some sense, it's contractual. Certainly VRS, it's the $100,000 increase in VRS. You can't get rid of it.
Any other numbers that you want to throw at us?
Was that
No, that's good. That's reasonable. Your admin building, the pay study stuff, the admin building, I think we've been very, very adamant at this point that that's something that is low hanging fruit and is going to have to be delayed. Unfortunately, the splitting or the pay increase for staffing, it is something that we could discuss about doing either a half a year or implementing it over 2 years, which would be basically the same fiscal impact, or less fiscal impact. We have 3 letters that all have been submitted. And I'll read those here in a moment when we go into the budget side of this, I guess. There is never a good time for a tax increase. Nobody is, 99.9% of people out there have never said, I really want a tax increase because it's needed. We've increased taxes twice now since I've been on board. Went up a penny. And then did we go up last year? Yeah, last year. 2 cents up last year. We went 4.6% last, or 4.6 cents last year. Nobody's ever cost us more, especially with that aging population. Trying to defer some of these costs and expenses over a couple of years is a fine way to do it. I mean, I think that's very worthy to discuss. Outside agencies, this year may be the year they get the axe. And it's unfortunate. A lot of them do really, really good work. The times are going to be tight with revenue decreasing. Madison County is in a fortunate position, though. Stated earlier today, 80% of our budget's all real estate. And people work to pay for that, which kind of goes hand in hand, but we're only losing a very little bit of money on this hot and restaurants and meal tax and things like that, just based on, we don't have a whole lot of it. There is never a good time, and we are going to revisit the budget and go through it, more proactively at the second meeting in April, which will be outside agencies. And probably that's the time to talk about doing pay increase and public strategy.
Yeah, the other thing that, you've got fund balance there that we want to keep a healthy balance in there. But if there's ever been a time that we don't want to exceed that healthy balance by an exorbitant amount, it's now. I was thinking, today that, people need to have savings to get through periods of time like this. And the majority of people don't have savings to get through a period of time like this. But what is their fund balance? Their fund balance is their savings, right? I mean, they've paid it into us and we have saved it. So I want to know, I want to be on solid footing with their fund balance. I do not want to go below, where we should be, but.
Mr. Murray has pointed out on real estate, 200K assessed is an increase in your tax bill of $40. $40.
That's 2 cents.
Yeah, 2 cents. 2 cents. $40. I don't know. I'm sure $40 is a lot of money.
And if we don't do it this year, it's gonna be more next year.
It will be.
There's gonna be more costs, there's gonna be more issues. We might have to go up double. If we do it 2 cent, 1 cent here, over time. But I understand what you're saying. And it's a good question for MJ about our fund balance.
Well, I mean, Davenport has recommended potentially taking our reserve fund balance to 25%.
Next one.
Their original was 25, they've switched back to 20. In our policies, I think we have it at 18%.
Right, but we're way
And we're at like 32% currently.
I have projections.
Well,
Projected, at the last budget workshop, I gave you projected fund balance numbers. Now, one of the things is we've drawn heavily on fund balance this year for both the radio project and the school project, but we anticipate that when we finance, we'll refund, we'll get that money back. We're paying for it out of our own money now, but when we finance, the money will come back. One thing I'd be very careful about is if you're looking at trying to appropriate an operating budget in something less than an annual interval. We've never really done cash flow analysis on the general fund before, and it is not true that, say, you can divide by 4. You would get yourself in trouble if you did that, because I think our debt service, our large debt service payments are all skewed towards the beginning, the first half of the year. So you would have to look at your large ticket items and make sure, if you're planning on appropriating increases, we need to do more work on the cash flow side before we get comfortable with what the number is.
So, other comments on the tax part of this, or whatever part you're looking at?
Well, I had someone tell me the other day, well, we're going to come out of this, and we're going to come out of this, but it's going to hurt a lot of people. I know where I work, we've frozen all raises for right now, but everybody's employed. And Carter's right, the county employees are getting paid. So if we have to delay these raises for a year or divide it into 2 years, I think that's the way to go. And I'm not in favor of a tax increase at this point. I think we can find that $340,000 if we need to, and maybe more. We may just have to flatline some of these outside agencies and some of our county offices as well.
Anybody else? Open to the public, whichever medium you're on. To the public. And we just got to sit and wait a minute. You know, we got to see the names.
19 seconds.
While we're doing this, I'm gonna read some letters that we've received. We've received 3. The first one is from Jeff Ferry. All county supervisors, after reviewing the article in the paper on the public hearing scheduled for 14th of April concerning the proposed tax rate increase, I became concerned. Currently, everything under the government order banning public gatherings, which would include these types of meetings, as for online meetings, the current state of both Madison's technical infrastructure as well as technical ability of many residents of the county do not guarantee a fair showing for the general public. This hearing, in order to get adequate public input, must be postponed, or you are failing at your responsibility of representing the citizens of Madison. That's from Mr. Ferry. Thank you. The next one is from Susan Bramley. And this one's more aimed towards the budget. We're going to read it anyway. Please use this email in place of public appearance at the hearing on Tuesday. I commend the board for grappling with the tough decisions they need to be made during each budget cycle. But I am dismayed by the decision to cut the funding requested by the schools by $363,767. Our schools deserve better. If the board was able to find a way to increase the allocation to the sheriff department by $285,200 and 16.25%, emergency medical EMS by $351,071.29 or 25.13%, and the contingency fund by $875,432.79 or 28.27%. Then I asked you to fully fund the school's request, which is 6% or $557,247 increase instead of the 2% or the $193,480 you included in your adopted budget. It is important to note the school's overall budget is $273,266 less than last year, but the funding from the state and other sources has been decreased, resulting in the need for additional local money. The $557,247 increases in local funding would not be funding new programs or teaching positions, but would allow the schools to continue what they currently are doing. The new school year will bring unique challenges to the schools as they help students catch up on their studies that are so drastically disrupted this year. It's important to support these efforts. There will be people who will ask questions like, I don't have anybody in school. Why should my taxes be raised? To this response, I respond that I do not have a family member in the jail, but my taxes support the jail as well. At juvenile detention, I do not receive any help from social services, but my taxes support that important work. I have only had 2 occasions in 20 years to call the sheriff department and use the EMS only once in 20 years, but I benefit indirectly from these services and willingly pay my taxes for them. And other areas that do not directly benefit me, we all need to support education because we are impacted directly and indirectly by the quality of education our students receive. I understand this may mean a tax increase, which is always a difficult decision, but if we have learned nothing else from the COVID-19 pandemic, it is that we all work together, we can accomplish what is needed. In this case, working together may mean trimming all requests, or it may mean raising the revenue somehow. We need a tax increase to properly fund our county and its many worthwhile agencies and departments, and let's do it. Education is primarily the responsibility of the local community. Please accept that responsibility and fully fund our public schools. We will all benefit in the long run. Susan Brand, please. All right. We got one more. All in caps. So we're going to have to yell this one, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
From Mr. Gerhardt in Radiant. Thank God it's big type. It seems to me that this is probably the worst time to think about increasing real estate tax. Many citizens already have a difficult time coming up with that money, the money required in June and December. With the current situation, it will be even more difficult as many citizens may have lost their jobs or be working only part-time. Also, many local businesses are closed and are receiving no revenue. Hopefully, most of these will survive, but will have a long haul to try to get back where they were in January and early February. I would think that in June, we will find that many will not be able to pay their current real estate and business taxes, and it could be worse when December comes. Thus, there could be less revenue for the county rather than more. As to the recent changes made to the pay of our county employees without the facts, it is impossible to say whether or not these changes were necessary. However, I think the general consensus of many citizens is that as a whole, the county employees have better pay and benefits and job security than most of the rest of us. But that's a done deal, but maybe something to think about more seriously in the future. As to some of the other proposed items in the budget, I think that they need to be questioned. The almost $300K increase in the sheriff's department seems excessive. Without knowing what the money is for, it's hard to say what could be cut or postponed. I think our local sheriff's department generally does a good job with what we have. I don't think at this time we need more personnel or more vehicles. Make do with what we have now. Also, why does our EMS need another $351,000 $351,000 more to operate? That's a 25% increase, and I think remodeling the administration building could wait at least another year or more. Why does the contingency fund need 28% more than we needed last year? Why does it need any more at all? I've read where other counties have said they will need to cut their budgets. Culpeper County, for one, we already have contracts signed to spend $11 million on the school renovation and the never-ending radio project. Also, the new IT department should be shelved for another year or two. Glad that the 1% cost of living was deleted, as for several other items. The next year or more is going to be difficult for everybody. Likely all of us are going to need to do a lot of the belt tightening. If we can seriously reduce most of the budget increase request, perhaps we can shift a little more money to our education system, but not a $363,000 increase. The school system needs to tighten up just like the rest of us. Obviously, I'm not a financial wizard, but there are others in the community who are, and it would be great if some of them would provide input to this very difficult and very important matter. As it is popular to say in these difficult times, we're all in this together. Donald S. Gerhardt. All right, so we got some buckets. And Vimeo, we got any comments on the Vimeo up there?
I don't know how to get comments.
I haven't seen any.
No comments, Bruce?
Just fine.
None on the go to the meeting. Nobody's talking. So the public hearing's closed. Next, anybody else got anything on that? Next. Of course, FY21 administrative fees, Ms. Hobbs.
Yes, this is, the fees that, the monies that, the revenues that don't come from taxes flow through, these fees that the county has. The idea is that we will reset the fees, associated with the, building and zoning departments. These are mostly intended to clarify what we have. There are some changes to the, zoning fees, and we can go through those line by line if you want. But, the idea is that this is a cleaner, slate of fees. Supported by local building, which we have.
All right, so we've got some fees. They've been advertised. Variance requests going from 200 to 250. Agricultural structural permits are going to $50 from 25. Sure, that's a big collection item. $1,500 for the subdivision plat minimum fee, now it's $850, we're going down there. Family division plat, $150 to $350. Boundary line adjustment plat, $250 to $350. Boundary physical survey plat, $50 to $350. What else on there? I'll scroll down a little bit. That's it. That's it. Zoning fees. Oh, yeah.
You'll remember that, another dynamic here is the idea that we don't have, public hearings for a lot of cases, like we used to, so there's,
Our planning department has looked through this. They feel like these fees have been adjusted at a reasonable rate. Anybody got comments on these? Seem responsible, keeping with time. Glad to see some of them go down, most of them go up. What happens? Anybody comment from the board? To the public. To the public. How are we doing on the video up there?
Crickets.
Ah. All right. We're gonna wait a minute more. Good process we've got here. Chuck is complaining. We hear you, Chuck and Stephanie. Hobbs gonna turn on his microphone and holler at me a little bit more. Sorry that our technical, we'll get better at this as time goes in this fine way of doing things.
Only 3 people watching right now.
On the Vimeo,
Right.
I think we should get rid of this Vimeo thing and just do the go to meeting thing. It seems reasonable.
Your call, sir.
How much does the Vimeo thing cost?
We paid about $900 a year.
What about this go to meeting deal?
That was about $200, $300 a year.
Oh,
But it
go
does.
with that one. It seems y'all got a better deal on it. I don't see any comments other than everybody saying that I'm speaking too loud and the rest of y'all aren't speaking loud enough, so we're doing okay. Public hearing now is closed. Anybody else got anything to add to that one? Next. We're now gonna go to the FY21 operating and capital budget public hearing. We've advertised. Mr. Hobbs, you have a presentation on this?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Set that up for a minute.
Yeah. All right, people. Yeah, it's pretty poor. There you go.
So tonight I'm presenting this summary of the proposed budget for next year, and I outline some steps that the county ought to take for its implementation. The board has heard most of this already, so it's targeted to the folks that have not.
It's like,
Keep going.
Due to the disruption in the budget process this year and the uncertainty imposed by the pandemic, I would call this budget more of a placeholder budget. So that's how I would characterize this year's work. As such, the board really does need to revisit the budget as a whole about 6 months from now, make adjustments on the experience that we have over the summer. We will certainly see a change in condition between now and the fall, and we probably have a whole lot better information to work from at that time. So as always, you know that the budget's about priorities. There's an awful lot of money that flows through the county's budget. It's pretty simple and trite, but I suggest that if there's something the county needs, they ought to find the money to pay for it. Conversely, if they don't feel like the money's available, we can find something to cut. It's just not that hard. You remember back in December, the board went through this exercise of developing goals, and the list is on the board there. But we spent some work on this and defined it in several different board meetings. You'll note that there's 3 items on the list that have already been completed. We are working on others, and if you go back and look through this, a lot of what's articulated here is reflected in the county budget. So we are working to a bigger plan, if you will. This year, we've got some major concerns. Of course, you talked about this, but the budget is balanced on the back of a tax increase and $714,000 in fund balance. So that's where we balanced the budget this year. But it's my opinion, but the budget in front of the board does a reasonably good job of estimating what's going to come in and what's going to go out next year, although the numbers were prepared on a pre-COVID-19 basis. So this is, we've not done a whole lot of work on the budget the past month because we've been jammed up with that. It does set up various projects for the county to pursue, and not all of the three major projects, but there are other initiatives in there. It does meet the timing requirements and procedural requirements that the state code imposes, and we don't need to forget that. So that's what brought us to the hearing this evening, is to meet these deadlines when it comes to the actual budget. The different highlights, we've got extra money in real estate tax, a lot of it from the consent tax increase proposed. We have another $300,000 coming in from personal property tax revenue. We have a whole series of expenses, and I've highlighted some of those there. Least of which is a $326,000 earmark for contingencies. You might want to note that when it comes to uncertainty, the county's IT project has not been mentioned, but there is some risk there in terms of overruns and deferment and all that. That's another kind of good project that's not come up. It's hard to estimate the general cost because of the pandemic. Conversely, it's hard to estimate the outlays we're going to have because of the pandemic. Another thing that's out there in terms of risk or uncertainty is this business of EMS and the Madison Rescue Squad transition. So that's like we're lucky that most of the county's tax money, at least on a local basis, comes from real estate, personal property, and sales tax. They're all fairly stable sources. Yield tax, lodging tax, monies from the state are in flux. I would suggest that with a lot of the state's money coming from income tax and sales tax, we've not experienced any budget impact this year, or we might, but in years to come, we would if the pandemic continues for a long while. Everybody knows the bulk of the county's outlay is going toward education and public safety, and I guess as proof of that, we have a primary school project and a public safety railway project underway next year. The county does have discretionary monies that we send to these donor agencies. The list is up there for that. I know you can talk about flatlining these folks. A lot of them are flatlined already, so that's a snapshot of what that might do. The difficulty is that if we didn't have some of these agencies doing some good social work, Madison County would be a different kind of place. So please be careful about indiscriminately doing that, because there are some things that Jackson will simply stick with those. Now, the list of capital projects does seem long, Joe, unless you consider that we've got a lot of stuff that's just been pent up. And this is out of a $50-odd million budget. So we know that a lot of these have been in play for a while, and some things are new. The ambulance might come out of this, the ones that can improve. But the scale of the projects that will be financed are really good there. That's a lot of the county's money. We come to paying for it. The idea is that we would pay for those three big projects out of debt, subject to together, at least that's the plan going in. Our idea is to work with a financial advisor in the coming months. We will take advantage of the current low bond rates, pay for all big projects. You've seen this graph before. This is existing debt. You'll see probably several different scenarios from the down before the contract. We talk about personnel. We have not, do not have any changes to benefit programs and cost of living. We do have one animal shelter and a deleted building permit technician. That's a full-time position. It's not in the budget. Funding has been set up and a tremendous amount of time the board has been spent on this compensation issue. Supporting elements we have, if you look in the budget package that is under sticks, you have financial policies. We've got multi-year capital improvement planning. We've MJ's use of fund balance reserve calculation is in there. We do plan to earmark monies for future use in terms of reserves for bond stabilization and the assessment project that will take place a few years out. There's also the employee classification compensation plan that goes to support the budget document. So going forward, what the board needs to do is continue with this hearing this evening. I would encourage you to discuss what comes in tonight and give us a little direction on that. I would advocate against generating another version of the budget between now and the 28th. We take a pause on that. In the meantime, develop a list similar to what Mr. Yao has done. So we have, if we do this, then it means this much impact on the budget, and just generate a list that we can go down and try to expedite decisions at the meeting on the 28th. Plan was to adopt a budget on the 28th. I suggest that this would be appropriate to focus on donation items in the school budget. It's somewhat difficult to factor other things in at this point. You can do that if that's what you desire. We advocate considering keeping the doors open on the budget until the June 9 meeting, and that would be the date when we would appropriate the budget. So just because, as we say, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean we have to appropriate it. The budget just sets the boundaries and the framework. The appropriations are where it's at when there's the actual spending. Again, the idea would be that there's enough uncertainty. Things are just out of whack right now. The thing to do is to come back in several months and make adjustments once we have better information on what happens this summer. Do I answer questions?
Anybody have any questions for Tom?
Well, yeah, let me ask you a question, Jack. So you appropriate expenditures, right? So if you adopt a budget and then we get to June 9th or whatever, if we don't appropriate, if we appropriate less than what's in the budget, then what happens to the revenue side?
Revenue keeps, the idea would be.
I mean, you gotta.
You have a revenue surplus. Last year,
You would show a revenue surplus.
The last couple of years, we've been doing a biannual appropriation for the schools, as an example.
Okay.
And we do it constantly for capital items. But until that money is approved, they can't spend it. It's just because it's in the budget. At one time, there was talk about doing like a monthly appropriation, which seems exceedingly foolish. So we want the biannual appropriation, and it's not reflecting negatively at all. I think the schools are a good steward of our monies. But until we appropriate some of those items, they can't touch that money.
Yeah, revenue surplus. That's
what it is.
my answer.
Yeah.
Is where I would.
And don't get me wrong, that is way more complicated. Like MJ says, we would have to take a good hard look at that if we were going to go, if we would say once a quarter, because of the irregularity of the cash flow. given what we have, it's just a lot of uncertainty right now. Food.
Right. So MJ, Jack, can we find $340,000?
That,
Big loud.
I think that's going to be part of that.
And we got 220
I think that you could
sitting here
probably
now.
find 200 for you. It's the extra 150 that's going.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I can tell you right now, I think if you did that compensation adjustment in January, that's going to be around, it's going to be a little more than 125 plus. But that's
okay.
There's the 47,000 in IT that I already said we don't need to spend. There is something though that I would like to point out, which, we were in a unique situation last year where when we adopted the budget, we had large uncertainties. We had it at the transfer station, we had it with health insurance, we had it with EMS, we had it with IT, and we had these huge reserves inside of contingency. Our contingency was almost $1.2 million last year. I don't know if somebody got the idea. Went up this year, didn't, it went way down.
Yeah, million.
But those numbers, the numbers that were in contingency, you need to reflect them back into the individual departmental lines. And after you do that, you will see that your departments didn't really go up that much. Like for instance, EMS didn't really go up 323,000 because most of that was earmarked for contingency. So the reason we're having a shortfall this year is because we were almost $1 million in the hole last year, even with 2 cents. And the two large factors that drove last year's $1 million deficiency was EMS and health insurance. And they're both without compensation adjustment, they're both basically flat. So you're replicating that number in this year's budget. You had a shortfall last year, so you're going to continue to have a shortfall this year. But the numbers like saying EMS went up 323, well, not really, because most of that was earmarked contingency. Our contingency this year is around 300,000. Last year was $1.2 million. There was $900,000 that was set aside for adjustments to go back into departments last year.
All right, other questions for MJ or Ms. Hobbs, or comments, general comments? Anybody? Let's open it up to the public. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that's true. The EMS didn't really go up that much. There's no debating we need those folks. We need to do what we're investing in EMS, but public safety and health are just consuming a lot of operating funding right now, and have been increasing the last few years for some good reasons. And I was just took the numbers that Jack was showing us. It's close to $600,000 that we're reflecting as an increase in what we budgeted. You're right, we didn't. It's what we're showing in the live budget as opposed to the contingency for some of that. But that's 3.5 cents. That's 3.5 cents we've gone up in one way or another. And and that's money we're spending that people are pretty clear they want us to spend. It's and times are tough, and the people that are the most vocal advocates for that sort of additional spending are the ones we are usually also the most vocally advocating against increases in taxes. And what's really painful and maybe a little ironic right now is that we're facing some uncertainties, let's put it that way, in terms of what the economy is going to do. And some of that, much of that, we're a party to. And we're a party to it willingly to protect that very same vulnerable population. So it's going to put a lot of us, got to put a lot of us, if people are thinking about what they're complaining about, they've got to be a little bit conflicted. Because we're spending a lot more money to take care of some people that are vulnerable, and we don't have that money, or potentially don't have that money, or it won't be as easy to come up with that money because that vulnerable population, where a lot of us it's not working. So it's not an easy time to be who we are, I don't think. Nobody should feel sorry for us. Still, as the chairman put it, there's no good time to increase taxes, but there aren't too many times in the 6 years that with Clay and I, is that how long we've been sit here, that we're facing these kind of obvious things we've got to try to pay for. And I'm not I hope we find the $340,000 that we can reduce that 2 cent tax increase or not have it. I'm skeptical, but I really hope we do. That's all I have.
You else have anything else to say? Thank you. To the public, let's start with Ms. Graham. Speak real loud. Apparently Barry can't hear MJ. We appreciate that, Barry. Go ahead, Ms. Graham.
Okay, good evening. We understand this is a difficult budget year for the county and all of your departments. And I just wanted to take a minute to make sure that the board understands that our funding request is only to maintain our current staff. The request of $557,247 came after we eliminated our cosmetology program, reduced our maintenance and technology lines, and eliminated a bus. Our budget does not include any new spending for staffing, with the exception of $10,000, which we added for middle school coaches with the hopes to be able to expand our athletic opportunities for our middle school students by adding softball, baseball, and soccer. And $16,000 we added to hire 2 additional bus aides for the safety of our students and drivers who ride on large school buses. The remainder of our request included the funding we needed to give all staff members a 2% raise and funding to raise bus drivers' starting pay to $14 an hour. But as you know by now, teacher raises have currently been suspended in the governor's budget. Our $557,247 increase also included that BRS 1% increase and the coverage for the 2 remaining months on our 30.8% health insurance increase. And those are mandates in the budget that we have no control over. And I also learned today that we should have more bottom line information tomorrow regarding what will be further reductions in our state funding. 81% of our budget is made up of the salaries and the benefits of our talented and caring employees. During the school closure, our teachers, our administrators, and our support staff have made sure that students are provided with these learning opportunities. Our food services ladies have provided over 30,000 meals to children in our community, both from our school division and homeschooled families. Our maintenance and custodial crews are working hard to prepare for the upcoming renovation. The bottom line is that any reduction in our current approved school board budget will require several cuts, which will ultimately include the elimination of some teaching and support staff positions. When 81% of a budget is based on personnel, there is simply no way to leave positions untouched when we make budget reductions. So I appreciate anything that you can do to soften this financial blow. Thank you, guys.
All right, public comment. Anywhere you want to start. If you want to talk to us on the phone, please just identify yourself. You want to talk to us on GoToMeeting, Vimeo, or any of them, just identify yourself and say whatever you've got to say, and we appreciate it immensely. While we're waiting on everything, I guess, the advertised 193, and we're kind of going the opposite direction of what Cardi was talking about earlier. The advertised 193 just makes them whole, the schools whole from the state. It's a change. I think that number needs to go closer to 350. And that would take some pain from us, but then also there's going to be some pain on the school side too. Going back to the school's original budget, we have contributed, the locality has contributed more money every year. We value education. We do it without a whole lot of reservations. We give them a hard time, which is what it is. But they are good stewards of our money. The public safety side, Ms. Bramley brought up that the EMS has gone up. What did she say? 28, or EMS has gone up 25.13%, up $351,000 this last year. Those are the people you want to respond to you if you have an issue with this COVID deal. They are trained in advanced life support. And that is, we are doing so well because of those people in place. The volunteers do a great job. And the volunteer fire, we can't say enough good stuff about. The sheriff's department does well. All these different departments turn in money at the end of the year, the schools included. And that's one of the things that has kind of contributed positively to our fund balance. Without everybody being good stewards of our money, then I mean, we are completely in this as a team. Schools turn in anywhere from 2 to what your max team that you turned in some years has been 600K.
Last year was over 400.
Exactly. Last year over 400. Schools do a good job. Every department in Madison County, nobody spends down, and I don't see pallets of paper clips sitting anywhere. And the tax increase, just like every taxpayer, every person sitting on this board is going to have to pay it as well. It's painful, and nobody likes taxes. It's kind of what it is. Any public comment? Any public comment? Got anything on the Vimeo?
Yeah.
I honestly think this has been absolutely fascinating. We were working off of 3 or 4 meetings here. We're doing about more as we could. It's interesting. Anybody else on the board have anything you want to say? I mean, nobody's commenting on this.
So if we bring the number from 193 to your proposed number of 300, 350, what does that do for you guys?
Well, we're still waiting on our hit from the state, so we know we're gonna lose even more money. We'll still have to eliminate some positions that would be as many. The 557 would be to maintain.
Currently.
All right, since we're not getting any public comment, please either give us a call, after, what, Ms. Hobbs?
You did, make a note that, ask for anybody to send us comments. If you're not able to, get on the Vimeo, or if you call in tomorrow, please send us stuff. Ask that again by the end of the day tomorrow. I'm sure the board will, better look at it between now and the 28th, but it would help us compile things if we can have everything submitted as soon as possible.
We're gonna go back to this budget on April 28th, correct? 28, 26, what's the second, or the 4th Tuesday of the month? 28, there you go. We're gonna go back through it. We'll probably do another one of these go-to meetings, and they seem to be more effective. We'll try that, and we'll take comments again, I'm sure. What else got anything to say? Public hearing on this is closed. All right, Next, we've got consideration of capital project financing. We're starting with the FY 20 budget amendment resolution. Thank you very much for coming, ladies. Mr. Thomas, tell us about this.
This is the reason this wasn't included in the consent agenda is that, well, number one, I guess the numbers are changed, but number two, this needed to happen after the budget hearing on the fiscal year 20 budget amendment. So that's why it's in this position in the pocket. Several things here. There's a resolution to amend the budget. There are a couple of supplemental appropriations, and there are contracts with the financial advisor, and just came in this morning that the potential contract with a bond counsel. So I take the resolution first, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
So the that. And this is the one that I put the values of the two major contracts we have for these projects in the ad. I understand that some lesser amount might be appropriate to insert for these figures, and so
the number we stated earlier was $10,478,490. So that would have to be the number. And just to reiterate, the capital county projects fund public safety radio would be $3,727,490. And then the school capital project is $6,751,120. That's based on us already spending 1.2 and some change. Let's go to the board on this. Questions, comments, thoughts?
So what's the number?
The number is $10,478,490.
The resolution.
Resolution, I apologize.
2020-12.
At 12.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve resolution number 2020-12.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same. All right. Appropriations.
Next to our appropriations, one is 45 is for the radio project. Images right there on the screen. So appropriate the balance of the contract that we have.
Questions, comments, thoughts, motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve appropriation supplemental number 45. FY 2020, number 45.
Motion's made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next one is number 46, and this would appropriate money for the primary school contract.
I move to appropriate supplemental appropriation 46.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, to take care of Mr. Hobbs?
This done with financial.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we done with financial advice?
No. Oh, sorry. Mr. Hobbs, please.
Yes. After the last board meeting, I got with folks at the other board and asked them to generate a proposal to run the three projects that we were then contemplating. And they would still like to, while they're at it, solicit fund proposals to refinance any existing debt. So they put this proposal together for us. The gross numbers are right there. I guess it's potentially $16.1 million in new money, they call it, and refinancing $7.8 million. They plan to issue an RFP to banks such that they would get interest rates and terms from those folks, and currently apply to the Junior Resources Authority, which is they call it the state bank. So we'll do that concurrently to have one more or less competing against the other. There's an extended timetable on how all this will come to pass, but we're going to get started tomorrow and issue the RFP. This will be next week, and then we'll be off and running with the timetable for financing.
Greg, you reviewed all this for.
I have reviewed the data report. So far as the code is concerned, it is appropriate. If the question becomes, then I'll pick them up on the auditor to do financing. I'm sorry, you said, did that pick up?
No, I don't say that.
The contract is in good form legally. The question really becomes for this board what it wants to do with regard to the refinancing of our existing debt.
What do we want to do on this?
Well, I think I read in there, they're gonna give us options, right? I mean, they will, right. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm good with authorizing staff to move forward with this. And we don't have to, I guess the size of the request would have an effect on the rate. I mean, $23 million versus what, 16, $24 million versus 16 versus 11. Right?
I understand it might have some, but not as much as you might.
Okay, so it's not that big a deal. Yeah.
Well, the scale is not much you can multi-million-dollar. I'm not a financial advisor. So
Right.
I'm not depth here. I have questions about whether we're going to be able to finance existing debt. The usual reason we do that is for cash flow purposes. But if we have fairly low interest rates and short-term pay it off, we can keep that up real quick with these line fees, printing fees. But if they're going to chop it, there's no, that doesn't sound good.
But that's what we're paying them to work up and advise us.
We'll put it this way, if we're just to refinance, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But since they're going to be shopping financing anyway, it's very fun. So, would ask for a vote to contract for up to $65,000 for this financial advisor.
Seems like these people, I mean, they figured out a way to do this. They're obviously well-skilled in their business. We initially started talking about doing all these projects, and that's not even talking about the operating budget side of things, but the ability to pay for like the school renovation. Early on, months ago, we were talking about like a very, very sizable tax increase. They figured out a way to do it and advised us in a way that brought that number much more palatable if we need one at all. Seems like we're investing in money. Let's budget.
Yeah, well, Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize staff to proceed with the contract not to exceed $65,000 with Davenport.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ms. Oliver, tell us about the bond, Kim.
Make one point. If you look at that timetable, it is fairly lockstep, and we need to be moving on.
Oh, yeah.
You'll probably get the try to dovetail to your regular board meetings. So when it comes to this idea of canceling board meetings and all that, we need to be careful. Just to do this quick as you need to get with these financing important. So we are hoping. That makes sense.
Thank you, Paul. Don't plan on canceling when you get, cycle. Bond council, item D.
This is maybe more Straight's mind, but he asked me to solicit a proposal from James Anderson, and that's what we did, just came in this morning. So I think you have a chance to look at this. Long and short of it is, these folks are a required partner on the team when it comes to financing. This is not regular legal work, it's very specialized. They quoted a rate not to exceed $50,000 for the new money portion and $15,000 for the refinancing part. Seems to be in line with what's usual customary for
And in that regard, I spoke with some of the other firms that do this type of work. This is going to be the best value for the county. One caution, though, the fee agreement letter that they've sent, they are giving estimates that it will not exceed $50,000 for the new money and $15,000 for refunding. That is not a cap. That is just an estimate. Typically, their estimates are pretty accurate.
The way to handle this is to review it for the next meeting on the 28th.
This one is not as time sensitive as the other, Mr. Briggs, who's trying to review it.
I've reviewed it. I believe it would be appropriate to sign this.
Questions, comments, thoughts?
Just,
Yeah,
it costs a lot of money to borrow money, doesn't it? Jeez, Pete.
There's 65K for, just one piece for Davenport, which is probably needed, you know, we got bond council of San Anderson for another 50K, so 105K.
Mr. Yao, if it makes you feel any better, the other firm I had a conversation with came in at 90. So,
I can go to sleep at night
We
now.
went with the thrifties.
and if you'd like, I can get you an application for law school.
Let's play with Laura.
Yeah. We need to go into closed session this evening?
No, we need to do something on San Anderson.
Oh, we got it. Oh, I thought we, moved that to the next.
50,
Sorry.
If Mr. Bragg is satisfied with the legal requirements of it, it seems like that.
But if you have any concerns, it is not time sensitive, as I understand from the job.
Y'all want to wait, you want to do it tonight?
We might as well lock them in, huh?
Let's do
Mr. Chairman, I move that we engage San Anderson bond council contract.
it. Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now we're, what?
Kevin.
All right, now we're going back to public comment. Seems to go well. Public comment. Oh yeah, we were up to 18 at one time. Now we're down to 9. Glad everybody can join us. Don't see any public comment. Yeah, well, and MJ and, we got about 5 of us in here. All right, hopefully everybody stays safe. Any further business, Sidney?
So I just want to follow up on, because I'm not clear on what you want to do on April 28th. If there's a list of things that you want to look at with dollar values, I can certainly do that. But I need, it's now Tuesday. I have many things that have to be done this week, other than the budget, between now and next Wednesday, which is typically my deadline for the next week.
What about a list?
So it needs to be, I may not be able to get you numbers by next Wednesday. That's a very short period of time to work on coming up with numbers. I already have looked up, I know precisely the numbers related to the compensation study, because because I worked on that for the last 2 days.
Mhm.
So I know that, I mean, I can give you 75% of it, 50% of it, 25% of it, I can tell you what's on it. But in terms of finding other changes, you know, it's gonna take time to do that. Especially if we have to go back and talk to a lot of different programs.
It seems to me that we need the list we need just a couple pages. We need the outside groups and see what last year's was and then this year's. Any suggested discretionary spending. That would be,
Yeah, I think your list is very appropriate.
And the schools,
You already
I
have.
mean, we kind of know where that is too. What else you like to report? You just want to walk on the budget?
Yeah, I mean, I was going down through them and, yeah, I just found some departments where it looked like, money's just out of line, so for the line item. So I don't know how would,
So there's two things. My recommendation this year, because we ended up with a budget in FY20 at $1.2 million in contingency, is instead of looking at the original budget, to look at the current budget. So when you're looking at changes, I couldn't do the numbers like that for the budget because we have a process to go through where we compare original budget to original budget. But given the fact that there was $1.2 million that mostly got pushed around, it didn't increase aggregate spending. It just got moved from one line item to another line. I think it probably makes sense for you to understand how the budget changed in departments where you're looking at large changes. It makes sense to understand what happened between the original budget and the current budget. Some of that was, a lot of it, 600,000 of it was reallocations from contingency. Some of it was grant funding. It's like, it's not representative to say IT increased $185,000 because that was all contingency last year. It's just, it wasn't, I didn't ask for it until I actually hired someone. And it was there. And it was in your budget. So, I mean, if you're looking for things like that, but I think to a large extent, where those differences are identified as listeners is I try on the 300-page workbook I gave you, those changes were based off of current budget and not original budget. So they're a much more reliable thing to look at than you don't actually do the budget. The other problem I had was that I have no automated mechanism for backing out capital budget appropriations out of the general fund. So in some cases, you may be looking at a mixed bag, where part of the numbers, you know, you're looking at an operating budget compared to an operating capital budget. And I tried to clean that up a little bit.
okay, so I'm definitely, I'd like to see what the numbers are on our new wage structure based on what would it look like if we delayed it until January 1st? What would it look like if we implemented half this July, half next July? It should work out about the same. Some minor.
Probably the same. We're going to need money next year. I want it. It's like a quarter, it's 25% more if you were to implement it half year this year and then a full year next year. Instead of implementing it just in half. On the way half.
So we're only talking about FY21 impact.
Right.
If you implement half of it this year, or you implement the full thing, but you do it.
We might as well just make it active July
the
1st.
impact
Doesn't matter.
of
You can either buy annually or whatever.
Well, for accounting, you know, trying to implement that from an accounting side is, it would probably be easier to put it off and do it all on January 1st and half in July and half next July, right? Wouldn't it be?
Just a different budget calendar?
No, just you're actually doing the computations on what that would be.
Computations are already done.
Oh, very well.
She likes that.
Okay. Okay, so that, I'm really disappointed. I thought the 1% COLA was in the budget.
All your polls are taken out from the IT side where you adjusted those numbers down. At one point, you were adjusting some of, or cloning your IT budget.
So in the budget that you looked at tonight, that 45,000, 6,000 is still in there. I think pretty much we can give that up.
Yeah.
I have to say that,
Okay.
Yes.
I gotta say, I'm gonna say this, if you think IT is discretionary, I really encourage you to talk to all the department heads, because the difference that is made in this county with having an in-house IT person. I mean, we've been doing what we're doing right now.
Half of the problem of where we're at today is people that have been resistant to IT for the last 15 years. And it's not short-sighted, it's just what it is. We all go down these paths. We just bought, 54 computers? Because and now we're operating a security system off of a 2003 XP. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's why it's costing so much today. We postponed and postponed and postponed so many things. It's just catching up with us. It's unfortunate. Look through your budgets. MJ will have some stuff. You want something specific, ask her. And the 28th will rehash this together.
A&S, that's where I'm.
I did.
Look at your list, and
All right,
if anybody has a question about why did something go up,
Okay.
that might be the way to start.
Everybody else gotta go. What's the report?
Adjourn.